It's tier list time, Ryan.
It is. Yeah, we've got
You want to
11
just,
people in here, so I guess we can get started.
you guys get to be the first ones in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Reminders, we're not ranking compendium. We don't do that.
No.
We haven't done that in a long time. We are ranking them. We're not factoring in win rates or any of that nonsense. We are just going based off our current evaluations of the team's power levels and how good we feel they are at the top level.
Yep.
Just because a team is easy to play doesn't mean they're good. Just because a team is hard to play doesn't mean they're bad. Feel free to argue in the comments or the chat, the live chat. We're going to try our best not to pay attention. No, we'll pay attention.
Yeah. Zach Pauga says, I'm just here to see who's higher between scouts and Jaegers. This is a fair question.
We're going to find out.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick a team? How do we want to start?
Oh, man. Let's start off with... Let's do Felgor Ravagers.
Newly nerfed?
Nerfed Felgor Ravagers. The people want to know where we think they place.
Well, so I think they're still pretty good. I kind of like. They're definitely like in a spot now where the most broken stuff about them is a little less oppressive. I think the Mangler was definitely.
Mangler was insane.
It was definitely a problem, and they've like. I don't know. They've made it a lot worse. I don't know. Like the Mangler himself is significantly less problematic, I guess.
Yeah.
But the team is still like Frenzy's still a thing. You know, the rest of the models are still good. There's a lot of like interesting things going on. I don't know. They're pretty great.
Yeah.
I would say they're A tier. I mean, I think they're not S tier anymore, but
no, I think they belong in A tier still. Losing the Relentless, or what did they lose? They lost Ceaseless, right? Or did Ceaseless replace Relentless?
They lost
right
Relentless.
My brain is fried.
Yeah, they have Ceaseless now. All the guys that are Relentless now have Ceaseless. They can still get Relentless through Violent Temperament, but it's not really Relentless. It's like forced reroll everything.
Yeah, and I do think that like losing that on a lot of your models where you used to just send somebody in and they just one-shot anything was, when I say one-shot, I mean like literally just in a single round of combat, you're not going to die and you're going to kill that model. I think that's huge, especially because they almost like in their entirety hit on 4s, if I remember correctly. So I think that's pretty big, but yeah, that's what takes them out of S tier for me. Let's move on, Shane.
I also think they're not great into the new teams.
Oh,
I think both the new teams are pretty good.
No, absolutely not. And we'll talk about that later on. But Shane, who do you want to talk about now?
Okay, so Felgor's an A. Let's talk about a team that you like, Ryan. Well, I don't know how much you like them really, but Void Dancer Troop.
Dude, like high C, maybe. I think
it's like easy to say they're D tier for me, but
I almost said D tier, but like I can't bring myself to do that yet. The team just like has nothing. They just don't have anything going for them anymore.
It's a lot uglier to play them now, I feel.
Yeah.
Like they don't feel crazy mobile despite being 3 APL. I definitely think they could use a buff.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, there's only 8 of them. They die because they're Eldar models. I don't know. The meta just really sucks for them right now, and it's like weapons just aren't great. Psychic powers are not really great. They're just like super like defensive tricksy, and then like their melee output can be there, but into like especially newer teams, they just can't hang anymore. I don't think so. That's why I'm putting them in C tier.
Yeah, I think
Um,
they lose to most of the stuff that auto activates them. So
yeah.
I honestly, we can revisit later, but I don't know. They're definitely a lot closer to D than they are to B. That's for sure.
And at top tables, they've been bad for
Ever,
a long time. Yeah. And this
pretty
is like
much
the
ever.
first time that we're putting them in C tier. Um, Shane, let's talk about Corsairs.
Um, yeah, I mean, Corsairs are like, I don't know. I still feel like Corsairs are pretty solid. Um, it's like, I don't know. They're not a very popular team, I feel these days, but
Mm-mm.
like at least they don't tend to win a lot of tournaments. But I do feel like they have the potential, like to make a mark. It just doesn't ever seem to happen, and I think it's I don't know. The dice consistency is obviously not superb. Um, and I think it's like the kind of thing that can maybe tank you over the course of a long tournament run.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you're playing amazingly, you might just lose one game off of something like that.
Yeah.
They definitely are not A tier. I don't think I want to put them in C tier. So I mean, they feel pretty balanced to me.
Yeah. And this
They
this
are
has
very
happened before
squishy.
where we've had this conversation about this team and we've just been like, yeah, no, this is a perfectly balanced team. Like,
Yeah, I don't think I have a lot of new thoughts on Corsairs. Like
no.
I feel like I just talk about them the same way every
Yeah.
time.
I was looking at them last night because they are a very I think all the models in that team are gorgeous. At Adepticon, I remember seeing a lot of that team in the kill team category for like the Golden Demon that they had there. So I don't know. I was thinking maybe of painting them up one day, but
They're very cool models.
yeah, they are sick. Um, okay, now you pick a team.
My turn. Corsairs went B. I'm not gonna pick an elf team. Let's talk about oh god, this is hard. There's a lot of like there's a lot of teams, Ryan.
There's like
There's like a million.
yeah.
Let's talk about commandos. Let's talk about the first team.
Okay.
One of the first teams. So, I mean, I think they're actually still good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't think there's anything inside me that says that they're like not a good team anymore.
Mhm.
They've obviously kind of been dropped by top players. Um, I'm leaning towards saying that they're probably A tier.
Yeah,
Honestly, I still think 11 activations is kind of obscene for them.
it is.
Justice Scratch is still good. The nerf was very impactful, but Justice Scratch is big. The Choppa nerf is big. But I think you just work around it a little bit. Like you're more
Yeah.
likely to drop like a Breacha boy for just a regular Orc boy. And, if there is a guy that you want to give melee to, you just need to give him a sledgehammer instead.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think like the hardcore orc commando players who have like stuck with the faction, I think they've just pivoted to a slightly worse team than what they were running this time last year. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So I would say
Yeah,
like A tier. I think I put them under Felgor.
yeah, I'd say they're
Felgor beat them.
probably.
Okay.
It's also interesting in the sense that Like they are so much worse than they were last year, but they're still A tier.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about. I want to save the best for last, kind of. Uh, let's do Justian. Put him in D tier. Okay, your turn.
Well, that's lame.
Well, no. Okay, I'll pick a real one. But Justian is going in D tier.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're D
So
tier.
let's do a Hunter Clade, Shane.
Ooh, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I like Hunter Clade.
I think they're definitely the. I think they're one of the two good compendium teams.
They're not
Oh,
compendium.
not
They're White Dwarf.
compendium, White Dwarf teams still.
Yeah. I mean, they can get up to 11 activations, which is a big deal. They have good melee. They have good shooting. They don't have any blast. I mean, well, that's not true. The leader pistol has 1-inch blast, but that basically doesn't count.
Yeah.
They don't have any indirect, which is fine. You don't need indirect. It helps, but you don't need it. They just have like generically good rules. Like they hit on threes. They can re-roll dice pretty easily. They have a forward deploy. They have 10 wound bodies. They're fast when they need to be fast.
It's kind of
Yeah, I
like
don't
they
know.
have like all this like generic good stuff in their toolbox, but because they don't have I almost want to say because they don't have anything like overpowered about them, they're kind of like stuck at B tier for me.
I think they're A tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Oh.
They just have a lot going for them. And I think if they're piloted well, then there's not a lot of teams that are like truly like crushing them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't. Like Gellerpox is a really bad matchup for them. Um, they
They
probably
have
lose to
like
Brood.
some weapons with like stun though, right?
They're horrible. And I think
Oh,
yeah, Gellerpox is like back when Hunter Clade was. Remember when Hunter Clade was OP for like 3 months
yeah.
and the first worlds everybody took them, and Orion showed up with Gellerpox and he just played Hunter Clade 8 times and won every game. uh, that's kind of like the story of Hunter Clade, and they're a lot worse than they were then. So, but yeah, I don't know. They're probably bad on a melee hordes,
So like
but I
bottom
think
A.
they're either high B or bottom A. We can reevaluate, but I like them in A right now.
Yeah. Okay. A's getting pretty crowded, so I think I'm gonna choose a bad team.
Okay.
Um yeah, well, let's do Kasrkin.
Castrican is a bad team.
Yeah. They do beat Strike Force Justian.
Man, it's like Castrican is awful. I really think that they're like there's a lot of um people that talk about the fact that, for instance, elites have horrible matchups into like Castrican that are like auto lose and stuff. But I think Castrican, like when played well on both sides, I think Castrican has more like basically what feel like auto lose matchups. I don't know. They're just like they're too easy to play against, I think. Like I just feel like there's nothing. They're not very flexible to me.
Mm-hmm.
They just shoot you, and
You can just play around that.
yeah, like there's some teams where shooting them sucks. Like it's not really a valid way to like win every type of game. I think you need some way to get melee sometimes outside of like a situational knife 1 CP ploy um combination.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They're just like I think they just lose. I think they lose to more teams than like a lot of elite teams lose to, you know? Like but elites get like the rep for just auto losing to stuff like Casterkin um and like salvagers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think D tier for Casterkin in my eyes. Probably they're better than Justian, I guess.
Oh,
But
of course. Okay. Your turn, Shane.
yeah, let's talk about a newly buffed team.
Okay.
I just want to get them out of the way now
Yeah.
because I don't have a ton of thoughts on them. That's Exaction Squad.
Okay.
I'll be honest, there's probably not a lot of teams on this list I have less thoughts on. I know we had them C tier before.
Mm-hmm.
I think the buffs are nice. I don't. Maybe I'm a little early on this, but I don't know. It doesn't feel to me like the buffs make a huge deal. I think they're better than Void Dancers, but I don't know if I consider Exaction Squad a B tier team.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, all the buffs did really was give their, like, whatever their reroll ability is. I forget what it's called, but they just gave it to the gunners, right? And you're only ever taking one
well, now you
gunner.
take the grenade launcher, I guess now, but
Yeah.
like also they made their melee a bit better. I just don't know if that fixes the problem. Like they have their breakpoints for killing things are just like 4/4 pretty much across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose the grenade launcher helps a little bit with that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know. I would say high C tier. I still don't think they're good enough to
Right.
win like a tournament, but I'm not sure how else you buff them at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe they're B tier. Maybe we end up bumping them, but for now, C tier feels fine.
All right. Let's now talk about. I want to talk about one of the newer teams. Let's talk about Nemesis Claw. It's a newer team. It's one that I'm a little bit familiar with. Uh, yeah, Nemesis Claw. I mean, they're good. I think in under the right conditions, they are able to win a tournament. Um, but what I don't know with the new teams from the termination box, I don't know if they have the right stuff, and that's purely because I haven't had the chance to run them against any of the new teams yet.
I mean, I think Nemesis Claw is A tier.
Oh, I think they're A tier. Yeah, I'm
You
just
put them in
saying.
B.
I'm just saying they're not. No, I'm just parking. Whenever I pull something,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just parking it in B. Yeah.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair, fair. I mean, yeah,
Definitely think they're better than Hunter Clade. I want to say they're on par with Commandos.
I would put them above Commandos and Hunter Clade. And honestly, I'd put them above Felgors right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. They
Because
can trade into them really well.
I think they had a pretty okay matchup into Felgors before
Before the nerfs, yeah.
before the nerfs. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Felgor just got a little bit worse.
Yeah. All right, so top of the list right now is the Nemesis Claw.
Yeah. Next up, Ryan. Let's talk about another buff team, Hearthkin Salvagers.
Yeah.
I am pretty. I don't know. I don't know if I would say I'm high on them. They just got buffed. Their buffs are pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thane is like a beast now, and they're 1 week because they have 3-up saves. So like a lot of the time they're pretty hard to kill with shooting unless you're hitting them with like AP2.
Yeah.
But now they're getting a little damage reduction in melee when they're standing on objectives. So they're like pretty beefy. I don't think I can put them in A tier, but high B. I mean, they're better than Corsairs for
For sure.
sure.
For sure.
Um, and I think that like they have like a very interesting matchup spread, and I saw them played well at ACO when I played against Dylan. I'm gonna say high B right now.
Okay.
There is a world where I could see them as low A, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet. I need to see more. But I'm interested in them. They intrigue me a lot.
Okay. I'm going to choose Hand of the Archon. Hand of the Archon, cool team. If you watched our latest YouTube video, you'll know that we think that this is one of the easiest teams to run. I think they have an okay matchup spread.
I think, you want to know
yeah.
what I think, Ryan?
What's that?
I think Hand of the Archon competitively is an unserious team.
Yeah.
I do not
There
think they are a serious team.
there are teams that will just stat check you if you run them.
I don't know. They just play the mission really poorly. They suck on Into the Dark, relatively speaking. They're bad on loot. Any team with GA2 can give them a hard time. I think they're better than Castrican, but I think they are a D tier team.
Hand of the
They have
Archon is D tier?
yeah, I think
No,
so.
dude. No, they're better than Void Dancers.
Maybe Void Dancers are D tier.
They're at least better than Void Dancers.
Maybe
I
guess.
think that I mean I think they're better than Exaction Squad.
I don't.
All right.
I mean, we can put Void Dancers in D tier if you want, but
I don't know. Sure, why not?
I just don't think that they have what it takes. Like, I don't think they have the means to double kill teams. I don't think they have the means to like dominate primary pretty much ever. Like, I suppose on capture, but they don't have a lot of APL. They can't get their APL going, so they're just
they're
like
stuck unless you're doing.
They're
you're stuck. I was gonna say, you can get free dashes, but that does not directly translate to 3 APL. It's not the same. Exaction feels so much more like a team than Hand of the Archon.
I agree with that. I don't know. I think Hand of the Archon just.
I think there is a lot more going on with Exaction Squad.
And I understand that Hand of the Archon is easy to play, and at mid and low tables they probably feel pretty strong. But believe me when I say that this team is not actually good. And if you're playing against somebody that knows what they're doing, that isn't going to screw up constantly and give you double kills when you shouldn't get double kills, and won't group up and let you, make it easy for you to hit them with the stupid torment grenade and your plasma grenade, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna find like it's gonna feel stupid playing them because you're like, oh, I just have to run up and kill a guy and dash away, and then sometimes you're not going to be able to dash into a place that's actually safe. So it's like it doesn't always matter. So I don't know.
Okay. Your turn to pick a team.
I thought I picked Hand of the Archon.
No, I thought I chose Hand of the Archon. Chat.
Whatever. I'll pick
Hand of the
team.
Archon.
Let's go with goodness. Let's talk about I don't know. Let's talk about Chaos Cult.
Okay.
I think Chaos Cult is the people are saying they're horrible. And the funny thing is everybody in the whole world stopped playing Chaos Cult when they got nerfed last. Like the one thing I don't like talking about data too much, but the one statistic I find funny is the number of games played by Chaos Cult. It's like outlandishly low. Like there are like 2 humans playing this team in tournaments. And I don't know. I think part of that is that they cost $1 bajillion to buy if you don't have the Ashes of Faith box.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is that they are not busted and I don't think that many people have ever actually really liked the team. They just played it because it was broken.
I 100% agree with that.
I think that they're probably B tier. I don't think they're bad.
Yeah.
They're objectively much worse than like Gellerpox now.
Yeah.
Who is like the superior melee horde these days? I think they're probably worse than they're definitely worse than Felgors at the moment, in my opinion. Probably better than Corsairs in B tier.
Yeah.
I think Hearthkin's a stronger team overall, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still hit like capture on Into the Dark, and Chaos Cult feels like Chaos Cult kind of used to, like, but a little worse. And I don't think they're like bad at loot. They have GA2 and 4 deploys. You just need to not get blown off the table. Kellen Foster, what don't Hand of the Archon have that Corsairs do to put them 2 whole ranks lower? Action economy.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah,
Hand of
with
the Archon's
Corsairs,
action
you have
economy
stuff like Nimble Fingers.
You have light fingers. You have a comm specialist. You have free dashes. Granted, Hand of the Archon can get free dashes in a worse way.
Yeah, you're spending a CP.
And it's also like move dash. You can't move, shoot, then get the free dash. You have to dash as part of your move. You're basically giving yourself a longer move.
Mm-hmm.
But being 2 APL. And they also don't have any GA2, whereas Corsairs, I believe, do have a source of GA2. They do with the leader. I think at the top level, Corsairs is a far better team than Hand of the Archon. They're just a lot harder to play. And ultimately, they're still not like OP or anything, so it doesn't feel like it matters that much. Like, I don't think the juice is really worth the squeeze with Corsairs. But yeah, anyway, we weren't talking about Corsairs. We were talking about Chaos Cult. And I think B tier is cool.
Okay.
So let's keep them there. They're like a skew team for sure, though.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Blades of Khaine. Blades of Khaine is a team that came out initially, and I was kind of looking at them like, man, there is a lot of moving parts here, but it does not feel like my first take was there's a lot going on here, but this is like a warp coven situation where a lot of the complexity does not amount to much. But now we've seen some players like Chris Baki have success with them at top tables. Yep. So Shane, where do you think that Blades of Khaine rank now?
Yeah, I mean, I used to think they were like D tier, and then I saw some very good players like Chris Baki and like Andrew from Ontario. I watched those guys play the team and just squeeze every drop of value out of this team and play them as well as you pretty much can. And I've gone from thinking they're D tier to thinking they're like low B, high C. I mean, probably C tier, like probably top of C. I think they're better than Exaction Squad. I think they're worse than Corsairs, actually. I do.
So, okay, so why do you think that they're worse than Corsairs? Because this makes, well, I don't want to say it yet, but anyways, why do you think that they are the first or the second best elf team? Why Corsairs compared to Blades of Khaine? It was a really roundabout question.
9 activations is a big deal to me. I really value activation count. I think that the Blades models are just I think they need a little tiny extra bit of something offensively.
Yeah.
And then they have the potential to be like really good. Like having seen them played very well in their current state, the idea of them actually being good terrifies me. I think they're not very good right now. I think they're like mediocre, slightly below average. And they're still kind of terrifying in their own way. So I see them as like maybe you could buff Dire Avengers or something. You gotta be small with it. You can't be too heavy-handed.
No.
You can't pull a scouts with Blades of Khaine because I think they become a huge issue. Like kind of like void dancers, but better, like how they used to be. Yeah, I like the team a lot. I would say high C is a good spot for them.
Cool.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think let's talk about Hierotek Circle,
Ah,
a classic love of mine that I am pretty much retiring after the latest data slate. I mean, I don't know. I think that the whole like reanimating injured thing is just awful. I think it just feels
yeah.
so bad. Like their gameplay was really elevated, I think, by being able to get up uninjured. I really preferred it being on a 3-up, getting up uninjured compared to 2-up, like pretty much guaranteed to get up, but you're going to be one shot if you didn't win initiative. And at that point, it's not even like a great faction ability. It's just you're just a nuisance to your opponent.
Yeah.
Unless you're in like a really perfect spot where you can like teleport 3 inches away onto like a spot that's actually safe, which is, once in a while maybe that happens. Like you can do it behind a wall on like Arctarius or something. But I don't know. They just feel lame. Their turn 2 is probably still very good. It's as good as it's ever been. Their turn 1 is still pretty solid. The alpha's unchanged pretty much. 3 APL at Prentec is nice. I don't know. I don't know if I'd put them C tier, but they're going to be like a low B tier, high C tier team for me if I don't know if they're in this current state. So
Okay.
it's really unsatisfied with Hierotek.
Yeah.
Um, would you put them in low B or high C, Ryan?
I would put them low B. I think, I don't know. Honestly, like I kind of do want to put them high C just because of I mean like the nerf to the reanimation protocol is just gut-wrenchingly worse than what it was. And it's like if you're going to nerf an army's like army-wide ability that bad, it's like I don't know. Something I did want to point out in the comments was Andrew Davis said, "I'm just a casual, but playing them with the Technomancer, keeping them from being injured hasn't felt that bad." Do you have any thoughts on that, Shane?
Um, well, the problem is that the Technomancer is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like the Chronomancer is still the best way to. So like if you're playing them with Technomancer and you were playing them with Technomancer before, it's still, I mean, it feels worse still, yeah, right? I mean, they just have less wounds now. Like the big problem to me isn't so much that they're hitting on 4s. That does suck a lot. It's that a lot of the time they're getting up and getting one shot. Like
Yeah.
it's a very low effort amount of damage required to take them back off the board like permanently.
And at that point, it's
Um,
like a waste almost.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll put him top of C. That's how we're feeling about him right now. Moving on, Shane, let's talk about the Elucidian starstriders. Elucidians, I
Yeah.
think they're kind of, I don't know, they feel B to low A for me.
Yeah, I mean I lean a little bit towards low A.
Okay.
With that team. They just sort of like I don't know. I think they're quite good.
Mm,
10 activations means I think they struggle a bit into like the melee hordes in particular. And I think against like Nemesis Claw, they're maybe not amazing, but like they're still very flexible. They have GA2. They kind of have 11 activations if you can get the asset off, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of the time you can get the asset off. The models are fast. They're weirdly durable.
Yeah, they're not tanky, but they're hard to put down.
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I think there's enough hard hitting models there. They're not easy to play. It's very much like an aura team with like the medics aura and like the leaders or not the leader, but the void masters aura.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're low A. I mean, I would say they're probably better than
Hunter.
commandos.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say at least better than Hunter Clade. I think
Yeah.
Felgor just eat them though. Right?
Yeah, I think Felgor beats Starstriders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's safe. I'm safe to say that.
All right, cool. Moving on, Shane, your pick.
Yeah, let's do. Before we move on, maybe we should put Hunter Clade at top of B. They're starting to feel
It is
a
getting
little
crowded
bit.
at A, yeah.
Yeah, they just don't fit to me. But next team, other than that, let's talk about Legionaries,
Ooh, okay.
who just got a nice buff.
I
You can
remember when you
now.
were saying, "Oh, I'm gonna retire this team."
I still have. I haven't played them yet.
Yeah.
But now you can show up and play Zinch. If you run into like one of two teams, maybe three teams. And that does help. It really, what helps even more to me is that you can have both Slaanesh and Khorne on your roster, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, they seem pretty balanced to me. I was always of the opinion that they were better than other people have made them out to be, mostly due to like win rate shenanigans. I mean, I think they're worse than Hearthkin for sure. I would put them above Chaos Cult right now.
Okay.
Probably like squarely in the middle of B tier.
All right.
You know what they really struggle against that makes them held back for me is Nemesis Claw. You know all about that, right?
Oh my God! It's not even. It's not even a competition, man.
Yeah.
It's just that is the definition of a stat check. But it's not even stats.
Yeah, it's not really stats. It's like
it's just
know.
it's the prescience token and the Vox Scream. Just will completely shut down any elite team.
Yeah.
Speaking of elite teams, let's talk about Phobos. Phobos good. Phobos good. But can they compete at a top table, Shane? With the current meta?
Not really, but that's just the life of an elite team. I mean, I would rather like if I had to play against like Brood Brothers right now, though, I would say Phobos are B tier for sure.
Okay.
Better than Corsairs, I guess. And I don't know, Chaos Cult. They're probably ahead of Chaos Cult, but I would put them behind Legionaries. I think that Legionaries are a better elite team right now than Phobos.
Okay. Your turn to pick one.
Yeah. Let's do. This is difficult. Ryan, let's talk about an S tier team.
An S tier team, yeah.
Talk about Pathfinders.
We'll rip the Band-Aid off.
Pathfinders, so it got nerfed. They did get nerfed. I think they're still S tier.
Okay.
I think that the nerfs stopped some of like the dumb toxic stuff that happened with the team in some situations and boards and matchups
Mm-hmm.
on like turn one. But I still think that the playstyle that we had described to us by Chris Baki after he won Dallas, I think that playstyle is still S tier. I don't think much has changed from that playstyle. There's like a few little things that got a little bit worse, a little bit like a few efficiencies that they slimmed down on. But all in all, I still view Pathfinders as S tier. I still think they are just a very oppressive shooty horde. So yeah,
Gotcha.
any
Uh,
disagreement there?
I mean, not. I mean, 4-5 shooting is 4-5 shooting, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So ridiculous. Let's talk about Vetguard, Shane. Vetguard, I feel
Yeah,
like,
another shooty horde.
yeah, not as great. Definitely got nerfed a lot harder. Yeah.
I think that they're B tier,
Yeah, I think they're B.
but
Um, numbers matter.
probably yeah, the numbers matter. They are like a still a skew on stuff like loot.
Yeah.
Um, there are some teams I think that they can still play well into.
I
They're
almost like,
still like complicated.
uh-huh. I almost look at them
What
like
were
the
you
same
thinking?
way I look at like Chaos Cult now, honestly.
Yeah, they're like the inverse of Chaos Cult, whereas Chaos
Yeah.
Cult is like a capture skew. I think Vetguard is like a loot skew.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, I think there's more teams can deal with the loot skew than the capture skew, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I would maybe put them like right below Chaos Cult.
All right.
Above Corsairs, though.
Oh yeah.
Next team, let's do Warp Coven, Ryan. You hate Warp Coven.
I
You
don't
think they suck.
yeah. I mean like they do suck. Well, like it's not from I don't hate them. I just
Oh
hate
yeah,
that
I know
they've
that.
been through so many revisions and they're still just not good. And they've never been good.
So I think Warp Coven is better than Hand of the Archon, pretty clearly to me.
Okay.
But I think that's about as far as I'll go. I think they're probably close with Exaction. I lean towards Exaction being better than Warp Coven though.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel similarly about Blades of Khaine and Hierotek.
Okay. Yeah, earlier I think you said that the juice was not worth the squeeze when it comes to Corsairs. That's how I feel about Warp Coven. That
That is
is
probably
the
accurate.
epitome. They are a needlessly complicated team for very little payoff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right, Shane. You've
It's your
talked about,
turn.
yeah, I know. I know. You've talked about this faction enough. So I'm going to talk about it for you. We're going to talk about Kroot and why they belong in S tier.
Oh yes, the S tier menace Kroot.
Running all
Yeah,
the
I mean,
tables, all the tournaments.
yeah, I heard they won a massive 12-player golden ticket event.
Jeez.
Um,
That's
so I mean,
embarrassing.
Kroot are D tier. I think they are the worst team. I think I've made that much clear. Um, they are like Hand of the Archon. Kroot is not a serious team. So it's funny too because everybody talks about, oh, Kroot are so good at scoring tac ops. They're so good at the tac op game. They can max their tac ops by turn 2. Here's the thing: if you're playing Kroot and your opponent has access to the Seek and Destroy archetype, you know who else is good at maxing their tac ops? The person playing Kroot in that situation. So it's like if your opponent has Seek and Destroy, at least, they're also going to max their tac ops against Kroot. So the benefit is just nothing. There is no benefit. You're back to square one. You're playing primary, and it's hard to play primary when 2/3 of your team is gone at the midway through turn 3. So hey, maybe we buff this team for real next time. Clearly, the first 15 buffs were not enough. I don't think we needed to buff the range where the comms operative stops working. I don't know why that needed to be a limitation in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. It's just horrible. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So, Shane, for this next one, I'm going to choose. Or no, sorry. You go ahead. It's
Oh,
your
it's my
turn.
turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your turn.
Felt like that one was my turn.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do Novitiates.
Okay. Yeah.
Sisters Novitiates, who to me are an easy A tier.
Yeah.
I think that they're better than Hunter Clade. Starstriders and Commandos. I think I lean towards those teams being a little. So it's like, I think Starstriders are better than Novitiates, barely. But I think Novitiates are maybe overall better than Commandos, but I still think Commandos wreck Novitiates, so I'm tempted to put Novitiates behind them.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like good. Like they're solidly good. They're like Starstriders in that sense in my eyes, where I just feel like they have a lot of like really good ways to like threaten the opponent. The dice manipulation is great. They're kind of like a Corsair situation where I feel like we've been saying the same thing about Novitiates for like 2 years now. But they're a great team.
Yeah. All right. So now, Shane, you were talking about how, Kroot have gotten all these buffs and they've amounted to nothing over the years. I'm going to choose a team that got very few buffs, but shot up to the stratosphere. And so we're going to talk about scouts now
Oh yeah, scouts are
and
all the
why
rage right now.
scouts belong in S tier.
You think
Um,
so?
so actually, I'm not sure because they all can take the equivalent of a power weapon now. But
Kind
does
of
that
a worse power weapon.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're not getting lethal 5 up. Does that directly translate to them being S tier though with that?
I think the extra operative plus that
Mhm.
maybe.
Okay.
Um, they are like a stat check team now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I think that they're not. I've seen people say that scouts are easy to play. Um, I don't know still if I agree with that. They're definitely a lot easier to play now. Um, those knives are ridiculous. Like the 6 crit damage is one thing that definitely shouldn't be a part of the team. But I mean, people are. I think it's getting glossed over how important the 4 damage is on the blade for the normal damage.
Yeah,
Just because now like their melee kills 8 wound models in 2 hits now, which is a big deal.
that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and them being 10 wounds means there's a lot of things that just can't trade very well into them. They've got some okay shooting, long range shooting. It's all tied to heavy though, which is pretty gross. Um, and I think their action economy isn't wonderful. Like the way that the leader gives out APL is like pretty limiting. Um, and I think that like I don't know. I know everybody thinks they're S tier, but I feel like they're not actually. Like I don't know. Maybe I need to play against them more,
Uh-huh.
but they don't like the idea of hitting them in a tournament is a lot scarier than it was before, but it doesn't like terrify me the way that Pathfinders, for instance. I don't want to run into a good Pathfinder player.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong, scouts are if they're not S tier, they're top of A.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think of like what a bad matchup is for scouts, and I don't.
Well, we can go down the line here. I mean, do you think Nemesis Claw is a bad matchup for them?
Maybe it's possible.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's not crazy. Um, to say that. I think that Felgors are theoretically tough. I don't know. They're probably, I don't know. So I think scouts are better than Nemesis Claw. I would
Okay.
say scouts top of A. Maybe they're S though. I have no idea. It's really hard to evaluate this team because they really like got way better. I'm gonna say top of A for me for scouts.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not gonna say they're broken right now. I hate the buffs. I think they could have made them good in more interesting thematic ways that weren't just like let's throw numbers onto the board. You
Yeah.
know, like let's just make the numbers bigger. Like
Yeah,
that's just like
really.
the laziest like unga bunga buff that I've ever seen. But that's what we're dealing with, and I think it's enough to make them borderline OP. So A, top of A tier, I guess.
All right. Your turn to pick a team.
Yeah. Um, let's pick a team that I think is S tier. Pretty much undisputed S tier right now. Probably the best team in the game.
Okay.
Brood Brothers. I mean, they're the best team, right?
Gotta be.
There's no way they're not the best team. I think they just have like a very flexible kit. I think that they, and it's not just flexible, like because there's like teams that have power in their flexibility.
Right.
Whereas like the fact that they're flexible is what makes them good. But like I think all the variations, like the normal variations of Brood Brothers that exist right now, could be its own team and probably be like A or S tier. And they have the flexibility to choose between which of those three very different things they want to lean into.
Mm-hmm.
With a little extra on top. So it's like I don't know, like I think that they terrify me in tournament setting.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think they're way too like they just have way too much control and way too much like way too big of a toolbox for especially for how strong those tools that they have are.
Mm.
Like if this team didn't have access to the Magus and the Primus and it was just the Patriarch, they would be like probably a high A tier team, if not S tier. Like they would be like a huge skew team, I think, for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Patriarch alone, if you're playing Felgors and you pull up to Brood Brothers the Patriarch, I think you just give up. Like you
Yeah.
just lose. Like
Good
they just have
luck.
a guy on their team. It's like a whole blooded team. Plus they have a guy that can like 1v5 half your team. Like, how do you win that?
Yeah.
I have no idea. And then on top of that, the Magus has some situations where he's just like really toxic. The Primus, same thing, is just generically really good. So yeah, they're the best team.
Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna choose Shane, you've been interested in this team as of late. Let's talk about Inquisition.
Oh yeah. Thought you were gonna say something else. Um so Inquisition, I mean, I guess we're filling out S tier because I think Inquisition's S tier. And I would put them above Pathfinders too.
Ooh, okay. So why is that? Why would you put
Because
them above Pathfinders?
simply because I don't think Inquisition has an awful matchup. And I think Pathfinders have one or two bad matchups. Like, because if there's like a really horrible matchup for Inquisition, I don't know what it is. The thing about them is that they are like really hard to play.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of people have mastered this team.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see more
Especially in
people
the
master.
US. Like,
Yeah. Over in Europe, they've got Inquisition players. I think there was a 90-player major in Spain this past weekend that was Inquisition took first place. And I think Inquisition might have taken first place at the last Spanish major before that one. So there are people in the world playing Inquisition to their potential. They're just not doing it in North America for some reason. And really good team.
yeah.
Not as good as Brood Brothers, probably. But they're one of the only teams I think that doesn't outright lose to Brood Brothers. They might have a good matchup in a Brood Brothers, to be honest.
That's very interesting. All right. So you go ahead and pick one now, Shane. We're getting down to the bottom of the barrel here, I think. No, we still got like 6 or 7 left.
Yeah, we've got a few. Let's do blooded.
Okay.
I think blooded's A tier.
Okay. Did we have them B tier last time?
I think we
I
had them A
feel
tier
like
last
we
time.
did.
I'm pretty
So,
sure they were A, right?
oh, maybe. That's why I'm asking. I don't remember. Um, okay, so where do you think they're gonna go in A tier here?
I would put them right now. My gut says between Inquisition and Commandos. Maybe.
Between starstriders and commandos.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, starstriders
Okay.
and Commandos. I'm checking. We had blooded in B tier last, but I think they're A tier.
Didn't this team get nerfed?
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't think it really matters though.
Other teams got nerfed much more than them. Their nerf was not real. That was not a real
No.
nerf. Nobody's out here putting their Ogren in behind like a barricade. They're putting it behind a Octarius wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like them in A tier. I think they're like a really generically good team. They had like a brief moment where before Brood Brothers existed, and like Vetguard had just gotten nerfed, and Blooded was like, oh,
Yeah.
are they one of the best shooty hordes? And they were, I think. All right, Ryan, what do we got next?
Dude, Intercession is still on here.
Yeah, let's just put them in D tier. I mean, they are
better
probably,
than Justian.
Are they even better than Justian? I'm not even sure.
No, actually, I think I like Justian better because
Better than
Justian
Kroot.
has crazier weapons. Definitely better than Kroot.
I think when you play Kroot against Intercession, it feels like you're playing against like release.
Does Intercession play the field better than Kasrkin? We have to ask ourselves this question. Because I think they probably do. It feels stupid to say that, but I think it's true.
Maybe we put Kasrkin below both Justian and Intercession.
At this point, chat, feel free to just call Shane and I Kasrkin haters. I feel like I'm needlessly dumping on Kasrkin, but I mean, it's like
Kasrkin is not a serious team, right?
No.
I'm changing the D tier in my screen to unserious.
Okay.
That's what I'm naming it. There are no serious teams down there.
Should it be like everything in C tier as well then?
No. I mean, I still think Khaine the Archon should be in a D tier, but you know, who am I?
All right, cool. So that was my pick.
Yeah, I'm up next. Let's do Navis Breachers.
Okay, yeah.
I want to throw Navis Breachers. I think like people are acting like they're horrible. I really don't think so.
I don't see that.
I think good players stop playing them.
Yeah.
I would put them below Hunter Clade, near the top of B tier.
Below Hunter Clade. Do you put him behind Salvagers?
That's the tough one. Maybe I'd put Salvagers above Breachers. I think Breachers are pretty balanced. They're like pretty honest right now. They're like a hammer, but you see it coming. You know the hammer's coming.
Right.
And if you know the hammer's coming, then it's not much of a hammer, I guess. But still pretty solid. They've got like good action economy. Their models are like kind of beefy for what the team is. 11 activations is above average. But they don't feel like a shooting horde because I feel like you never actually have you have 11 activations, but you're GA2ing, right? Once probably every turn.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a 10 activation team. Yeah. The chat, they'll have Kasrkin behind Kroot by the end of this. Yeah, they just keep
don't tempt me.
Lower.
Shane, hey. Kasrkin have a tougher time scoring secondaries than Kroot, all right?
They do. Unless they're playing against Kroot, because then they take Seek and Destroy.
Right.
And then they have an equally easy time scoring secondary.
Yeah, that's the toilet bowl right there. Kasrkin
Yeah,
versus Kroot.
yeah, yeah. Seriously.
And the sad part is, I think Kasrkin just still absolutely wipe the floor with them, and it's not even close.
I don't know. I think Kroot can win that matchup. It's pretty skill based. We're talking about the bottom feeders here. Whoever the better player is probably just wins. Um, let's do. It's your turn, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's do God, I want to vent about this team, Shane, and their
Is it who I
crazy,
think it is?
crazy durability. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Jaegers.
Oh baby,
I'm
I
putting
love the
them,
Jaegers.
dude. I hate them so much.
I love them.
I despise this team, and it's all. But what's the name of the strategic play, Shane?
Oh, Undaunted, or no, that's the Tough Survivalist, the
Tough
damage reduction.
survivalist, dude. Tough survivalist is so. I'm trying not to swear on here. It's so annoying. Dude, it's like, okay, your entire army gets a pseudo just a scratch for the low price of 1 CP, and you get to choose what dice you are having damage on. It throws off melee math, it throws off breakpoints, it throws off just like any sort of damage you're looking to inflict on this team. This team is like sneakily like way more durable than they have any right to be.
Yeah, they're like 10 to 11 wounds minimum. So I think they're not S tier because they have one really horrible matchup. And I think there's some boards where the slow movement is just crippling. Not crippling, but like disadvantageous.
Oh, dude,
Um,
also the mines.
Mines are great.
Dude, like, so the thing about the boards where movement is going to be you're going to be disadvantaged. Jeez,
Spit it out, Ryan.
I'm fried over here right now. The thing about those boards when you're deploying on the short edges, is that it is a lot easier for you to nearly completely just like block off avenues of approach to your side of the board with your mines. And like if you're playing against the Jaegers, like you know that the 3 mines that are closest to you, those are all going to be real mines. Like you might as well just not even have duds with the mines. You might as well not even have 5. You might as well
Yeah, the
just have
duds are
3
like
and have them be real.
yeah, the duds are kind of lame. It doesn't really ever come into play like gameplay wise.
Honestly, if you did like if I were to make this team, I would do 3 mines and I would have one of them be a dud.
Yeah.
Because then you're
Oh,
literally playing a shell game where there's like
yeah.
3 cups.
Okay, Ryan, you need to get them out of S tier though. We got
No, they're staying in there, Shane. I'm sorry.
No,
All right, top
they're
of
not
A.
S
Top
tier.
of A. Top of
I
A.
do. So here's I mean, I think it's a big hot take in this world that we live in right now to say that I think Jaegers are better than Scouts.
I don't think that's a
Is it-
real hot take, honestly.
You've not been paying attention to the public perception then,
No,
because
I don't.
I genuinely think that Jaegers are very, very good. I think that they like stat check teams harder than Scouts do. Personally, like in their action economy after turn 1 is just fantastic. I love the flexibility of the models themselves against things that are like not durable. They can actually pull up and just kill them. Against things that are durable, this team is like elite level chip damage. They chip so well. And I think in terms of matchups, I think there are very, very few teams that actually like really beat Jaegers. Like honestly. I think that funny enough, I think salvagers are by far their worst matchup because it just turns the team off
Yeah.
basically. Like they're on most boards, you just can't get more than 1 primary on turn 1 against salvagers because they stop your forward deploy.
Yep.
but um, that's mostly on open board. And on capture, it's actually okay. Sometime, yeah, I think it's okay to go 2/4. That's just my belief. So I think going 2/4 is okay. On Into the Dark, a lot of the time that doesn't even matter because you can just reach the objectives anyway, without the forward deploy. And yeah, like I don't know, like go down the list. I think that them and scouts are very similar. But I like Jaegers a little bit more because I prefer the action economy that they get. And I like the flexibility of the individual models, whereas for scouts, the shotgun guys are just shotgun guys, and the knife guys just have like bolt pistols with their knives.
Right.
Whereas with Jaegers, most of your team has a good melee and a good shooting profile.
Yeah. They all have shotguns, and then you just give your lethal 5 plasma knives to whoever you want, and then you just have these dual threat, incredibly durable, just
Yeah.
burly, stout dudes.
And I think
Cool.
in terms of tempo, like they can sit back in a really strong way that makes it hard to play elites against them. I think they're good into melee teams personally because they have a
Dude,
lot of
if you're playing
tools to
Felgor
punish.
into this team, good luck.
I think they dumpster Felgor. I think that I see them struggling into Brood Brothers a little bit and Inquisition. I think Inquisition is their actual worst matchup. Brood Brothers is bad for most teams. Inquisition and Salvagers are like the two that are really tough for Jaegers.
Okay.
But otherwise, I mean, I think they are pretty good into commandos. I think they have tools into novitiates. I think they have tools into like I don't know,
Like the
into
8 wound like teams, regardless of size, I think they're fine into. Yeah.
all right, next team. Let's do Gellerpox. And Ryan, I think we have a fourth team in S tier right now.
Oh, let's go.
And I think that Gellerpox, I would put them between Pathfinders and Inquisition.
Okay.
Gellerpox is like a skew in the way that Chaos Cults is a skew, except they are not that bad at the other stuff. You know? Like
Yeah.
they can still work like on the regular normal boards that are played at tournaments. You're not gonna really like get crushed by like any team when you're running Gellerpox if you're playing them at the highest level, like which not a lot of people are. Part of which I think is because the team is hard to get a hold of, and I think people just don't. That people find the models gross, so they don't want to play the team, and the aesthetic doesn't appeal to
The
them.
models are
But
beautiful.
the models are awesome.
They're sick.
But yeah, no, I think they're just pretty obnoxious. They're very, very good. They stat check teams pretty hard. Like some teams just can't deal with 4 Nightmare Hulks, and that's
Yeah.
kind of decides the matchups, especially if you keep them safe on turn 1. So yeah, S tier for sure.
All right. Is this the No, I think we have 2.
We got 2.
We got 2 left.
We have
Yeah.
Wormblade and mandrakes.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Wormblade. Woo! The other. Was it like recently you told me somebody was saying that this team is overpowered?
I did hear that. Yeah, they're not. They're very good. They're A tier, I think. Which A tier is massive.
A tier is crazy right now, actually.
I don't know where in A tier they go. I'm kind of tempted to put them like between above Felgors, honestly.
Above
I do
Felgors?
think,
Okay.
yeah, I think Wormblade right now is again kind of askew on things like loot. Like you're gonna hear this a lot. There's some teams just skew really hard into capture or loot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're like in the Vet Guard territory of like they skew really hard into loot, but I think they're better than Vet Guard right now. They just have a lot better offensive output. The buffs to their heavy guns is really fantastic. Yeah, I don't know. I just think they do have the potential to like fold if you take care of their important models, which is easier said than done, to be fair. But I do have a lot of faith in Wormblade as like a pretty strong team right now. I just think they fall short against Inquisition and Brood Brothers.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Okay,
yeah.
Shane. Last
team.
team.
So
Yeah,
we
the
have
mandrakes.
they're like everybody's really scared of the mandrakes. Everybody thinks we're going to put them in S tier right now, but I don't think they belong in
I
S tier. I think they have bad matchups.
mm-hmm.
Therefore, I would not really like.
A tier for
I don't
sure.
know.
A tier for
Definitely
sure.
A tier. The only question I'm thinking
Definitely,
now
yeah.
is like, do we drop Novitiates to top of B tier?
I feel like we have
But
to.
I don't know. It's just too much. Like I don't know. Yeah, let's put Novitiates top of A tier,
Putting
and then let's put.
commandos in B tier feels wrong.
Yeah, I still think Commandos should be like a low A tier team. Um, Mandrakes though, uh, they are very good. I
I
would put them above Nemesis Claw.
I would too, because I think they have better matchups into the field than Claw does. Do you think they're better than Scouts?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. I don't think they're. I think Jaegers beat Mandrakes. So there's that.
Okay.
Um. Oh man. Yeah, I know. I think I like them between Scouts and Nemesis Claw.
Okay. Yeah,
Like
that feels good to me.
Mandrakes are. I think if they out activate you, they feel really broken and stupid and unfair. But I think teams that out activate them can beat them. They just have to play well, which I mean is so naturally. I think that like at mid tables and lower tables, Mandrakes probably feel pretty unfair and pretty stupid because against teams that do out activate them, you still need to be good to beat them. I think with even skill, all things considered. But once I think on top table, I don't think Mandrakes are going to win a lot of majors. Personally,
Okay.
I don't think they have won a major yet, and I don't foresee that happening personally.
All right.
But they're going to be a good team for win rates and stuff because they're good at mid table.
Yeah, it's almost
That
like
doesn't mean
a Void Dancer type situation.
yeah, I think they're better than Void Dancers were, but
Okay.
just because they have 9 activations, and I think some of their stuff is a little more. I don't know. I just like their toolbox more than I like Void Dancer's toolbox.
Yeah, because I don't know. Feels like Mandrakes have some actual models that do actual things on the table, and not just
Yeah.
like 3 specialists.
To be fair, Mandrakes have like 4 specialists.
Yeah. It's that
Plus a
fourth.
leader.
It's that fourth one, dude. It makes all the difference.
It does. Yeah, I mean Mandrakes are pretty dang good. But I feel pretty good about this tier list. I mean, is there anything we want to amend here before we
So my problem is right now we have the equal amount of teams in A and B tier. So like naturally I want to drop teams from A into B, but like I can't see myself dropping commandos into B seriously.
Yeah, I don't think I
Um
see it either.
what else do I have to say about this tier list? Does it feel like the game is a lot less balanced now than it was like ever?
No, I wouldn't say ever, but the game is definitely worse balance-wise post termination and post the last data slate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like if I wish you could like get rid of the scout buffs and then I don't know, if Brood Brothers wasn't the way they are, and then like you kept the Pathfinder nerfs, I think we'd have a pretty good meta. But unfortunately, a bunch of other stuff happened. Oh, and keep the Felgor nerfs too.
Mm-hmm. Devious Brute in chat thinks that we should switch Kroot and Kasserkin.
No, that's enough. We've gone far enough.
Yeah.
We can't just bury them.
sit here and bully them all night. It's tough that they're horrible already, you know.
Yeah. I'm pretty satisfied with this tier list.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good list. All right, guys. So, go ahead and screenshot this, I guess.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions about, I don't know, or you just want to talk about Kill Team in general, find some games to play on Kill Team or of Kill Team through like TTS, make sure you go and check out our Discord server. I've got the link to that somewhere in the description. Shane,
Oh, and I want to shout out our newest weird boys.
Okay.
I believe we have Bartosz Wojcicki. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Um, you are our newest weird boy, and I'm going to check and see if there's any others. Ticket the Cat, Mick Guest, and Johnny Cadman. Thank you guys. Oh, and Deep Sea Davy. Thank all of you for joining the Weird Boy tier. There is a new TTS bat rep on there as of like an hour ago, like right before we started
Ooh.
recording. I put a new one up of myself playing Jagers into
Okay.
Navis Breachers. So if you want to watch that, go check out some Jaeger action.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that.
But yeah, people are sleeping on Jaegers, man. That team is so good.
Mm-hmm. So good that we should bump them up to S tier. 6 teams in S tier, followed closely by the scouts.
No.
All right.
No team can lose to salvagers that hard and be S tier.
Yeah, valid. That's just one matchup you gotta dodge, though, Shane. It's just one. Also, that patriarch is kind of mean, though. So yeah, guys. That's gonna do it for the live stream this evening. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and we hope to see you all again soon.